Welcome everyone, Jeff ArizonaHotHomestead. In this video and the next few videos I'll put together a little playlist. And the reason why I've done this is because I've been out here for like 8 years now, 8+ years. And so I did a playlist for every single year, but I did everything on there, like I put everything in there. And I got thinking, that's just a lot of boring stuff you guys don't want to see. So what I thought of was, let's put together the top videos by viewers like you over the first 5 years. So I put together this playlist, and this is just one of those videos. I may have modified it slightly, but basically it's just a copy of that other video. So if you've already seen it, so be it. If you're new to my channel, welcome aboard. And don't forget to subscribe, like, share, hit that little bell thing, all that good stuff. Basically, I'm building an off-grid homestead, and haven't got to the good stuff yet. I'm still just building it with these two hands, and just a little bit of help from time to time with some family and friends. And man, it's a lot of work, but it sure is pleasurable. So stay tuned. This is one of those videos. The best of the first 5 years. Jeff ArizonaHotHomestead here. In today's video, I'm going to narrate doing a maintenance on the generator. It's really windy that day, so I'm just going to narrate it. Got to do a little bit of maintenance on this generator, Champion. I'm going to do the oil. I'm also going to take a look at the air filter. I'm going to do the spark plug, and then I'm also going to take a look at the jets on the carburetor. So let's get to it. So there's my oil drain. So we're going to pull out that oil drain. I think that's a 12 millimeter, I believe. Yep, 12 millimeter. We're going to use for that. Just a closed-in wrench works fine. Boxed in is to some people. Now, one thing though I'm showing right now is that I got it up on this table, and then I have it up on blocks. This just makes it a little easier to get to everything, so I'm not sitting down on the ground. Plus, also putting it up on these blocks gives it a little higher so that the oil can drain into a pan. Otherwise, you're dealing with only a couple of inches on where it drains. So, kind of makes it kind of nice when you can get it up on blocks, if you will. So, I just made some basic 4x4 blocks, and the generator's pretty level. It's not utterly perfect, but it's pretty close to being level, which is what you want to have when you're trying to get the oil done. So there's drain plug done. There's the oil. Oh gosh, is that dirty. Actually, overall, I've seen dirtier oil than that. Now, I'm pointing out here that you may have to tilt the generator if you want, just to help get the rest of the oil out. Now, while it's draining, let's go to the spark plug. We're going to do multitask here. We're going to pull off the cap of the spark plug. Now I'm going to just replace this spark plug, but you can just reset the spark plug on the gapping and all that if you want. You should have a tool like this when you bought your generator. And that's just a generator or a spark plug wrench. And here, I've already loosened it, and so I'm just showing you the process. It was a little awkward, actually, but it worked just fine. And then just finish pulling it out, unscrewing it with your hands. Now, I've already changed out this spark plug here. So this one was the original one, and I had already cleaned it a little bit, so it doesn't look as bad as it did. And then I put a brand new spark plug in. Now the gap you should find in your manual. If not, look it up online for your type of generator. Now I'm just pointing out the gapping there. And there's your gap specs. So using the gapping tool, you can either adjust it or what have you. If you buy a new one, you need to make sure it's been gapped to the proper gap. That's the model number of the spark plug, so when I go to buy a new one, I know exactly what to get. And there's the new one. That's the one I'm going to replace it with. It's the exact same model and everything. You want to hand tighten this. You want to be careful that you do not strip this thing. You do not want to over tighten it. So you're going to screw it in with your hand as far as you can go till you can't tighten it anymore. And then you're going to break out the wrench, and then you're going to get it really snug. I just did that for a little bit better leverage. And then I use the rest of the spark plug wrench to do it. And then you put your plug back on, the cap. You may want to check the condition of that cap, make sure it's not too dried out, make sure that the inside of it looks clean. That way you have a good connection. And you put it back in and you're done with that. So next thing, air filter. So in this particular generator, this Champion, you have a clip up here on top and a clip down on the bottom. Pretty simple, and you pull that out. You may have to wiggle it a little bit to get the cap off. Most of the air filters I've noticed with generators are all foam, which is easy because all you gotta do is take some soap and water, clean it out, let it dry really good though. Make sure you don't put a damp sponge back in. Now we're going to take off those 4 screws because we need to take off that holder for the air filter. And that is going to be either a Phillips or you're going to use a wrench. So, it looks like it's a number 8 wrench. So you could do that. However, I'm going to end up just using my cordless and just unscrew. I'm using the extended length screw bit because the ones on the left, you had that framing there that got in its way. You just pull that guy off. But there's a couple more screws. Inside there's a carburetor right in there. So we need to take that nut off and that nut off. And we're going to use the number 10 on that. And when you get those off, you're not done. You still have that one there. But you got to get that one from the other side. So you go to the other side and you do that one there, and that's also a 10. And now you can move the housing, let it sit off to the side, and there's your carburetor, and your carburetor will slide on those 2 bolts. Now, that's your gas line. I had broke off that clamp there, so I got a new clamp to put on, just like that one. Basically, what I'm showing right now is that you want to make sure that your gas line is off, so that when you go to unplug the line from the carburetor, you don't have gas laying anywhere. But that's also how you can drain your gas tank if you need to. You can turn that to on and have your gas line go into another container. So we're going to get a pair of pliers, pinch that hose deal, which I'd already did, and move it out of the way. Now there's a governor spring and a governor rod that also needs to be removed. So we're going to take off that rod and spring. All we're going to do is just disconnect it from the carburetor. We're going to leave the other half still connected. So first goes the governor spring, and then that kind of allows me then to move the carburetor and that little plastic piece rotates, and when you rotate it, then you can lift up your rod. And just set that off to the side and pull the whole thing off. Now careful, because it's full of gas, so you don't want the gas to leak out all over you. There's still that choke piece there that's sticking up. We got to take that off. You may want to sometimes take pictures of things just so you can remember exactly how it goes back on. And then I'm just looking at the carb right now. It looks pretty clean inside. I've seen dirtier carbs. Alright, so now I'm talking about emptying it out. If you do it that way, you can let all the gas out of the bowl there. Right there you use a drain, so you could drain it from there, but you're going to use a number 10. I'm not going to undo that drain plug. I'm just going to do the other bolt, which actually holds the bowl, the fuel bowl, to the carburetor. That gasket there, you want to make sure you keep that gasket. Don't lose that gasket. This other black ring gasket that's on that bowl, you also want to make sure that you save that, because sometimes that's on the carburetor itself, so don't lose that. I'm pointing to the piece inside that carburetor there. We're going to pull out that jet that's down inside there. That little white piece is just a float, and there's a little pin on there that just easily slides off. So be careful, if that pin slides off, you just got to put it back on, so don't lose it. I just unscrewed it with a standard Phillips or a standard screwdriver, and I'm just looking at, remember how it comes out so that you can put it back the same way. That's what I'm pointing out there. I'm just looking at the holes. We're going to take an air compressor, we're going to blow out those holes, make sure that's all nice and clean. I've just done that, so now I'm showing you how clean out those holes are. We'll make sure they're all no debris in there. And then that's your set screw. I guess your set screw, because it locks it in place. So now I put it back in the same way it came out. Tighten it. Now be careful with tightening it, because it needs to be real tight, but yet you also don't want to strip that slot on that screw in there, because then you'll never get it out if you need to. I'm just looking at it. We're going to put the bowl back on. See, I'm making sure that that pin is still in place, making sure that the gasket still is in place. It didn't slip on me. Now we're just going to put that bolt back on the bottom. And we'll tighten that guy down. And then what you want to do is you want to make sure that there's no debris anywhere that got on that carburetor. So you're going to blow it out and clean it out to make sure there's no sand, there's no hairs, there's no other debris that's on there. So when you go to put it back, it's as clean as possible. And then just make sure you remember how it goes back on too, huh? So I'm just looking over and make sure it's nice and clean, and now I'm all done and it's ready to go back on. So we'll slide it back on those two bolts, put the governor rod back on, and we'll put the spring back on as well. And then we gotta put the choke on. Slide it back there and put the choke on. And that guy's all ready to go there. So on the gas line, I'm just pointing out that I needed to replace the top one there. Yeah, that guy there. And there I'm just showing you how I did it. Slide it on there. slide it on there, and then take the pliers and wiggle it on. That sleeve there, that sleeve just helps protect the gas line, because you don't obviously want it to get too hot and have it rub against the gas line and cause a leak. May also cause an explosion, huh? So now you put the casing back on for your air filter. Self-explanatory, really. Put that guy back on, tighten him down. Oh, don't forget that one. And yeah, it's a 10 millimeter. Make sure that's nice and dry. And we'll put him back. I didn't show you cleaning it because I figured you know how to clean it. Then you put your cap back on, and you're done. So you've done the air filter, you've done the spark plug, you've checked the carburetor, everything's all good. So now let's go check the oil and see if everything is done there. Looks like it's done. Time to put that plug back in. So we'll move the thing out of the way there, the funnel out of the way, and we'll just screw it back on. Now, if you also notice where the oil input goes, that's left open right there, and that just helps the oil drain a little bit. So that's why I took that off as well. Now when you go to fill the oil, you obviously, it's hard to tell when you're full. This is the oil that I'm going to use. It's just it's cheap oil. I just bought it 5 weight 30. There's your full on your oil gauge. It's hard to tell when it's full, so you may have to pull out your funnel and check it every now and then. So now we've got that done. The oil's all done, and so now we're ready to give it a shot. This carburetor cleaner here, you can use this carburetor cleaner if your carb is dirty, and I personally like this brand here. I didn't use it because the carburetor was clean, but I had it available to me there. So if it was dirty, I could. You could also take it completely apart and soak it and all that, but it didn't look like I needed to. Obviously, that guy there was good. Flathead screwdriver, a pair of pliers, a pair of needle nose. Pliers was good for that hose clamp, and then some wrenches. And really, whatever works for you. I had the wrenches and the sockets available. And for this generator, you need 8, 10, and 12 millimeters. And I'm just showing you the sockets now. And then don't forget your spark plug wrench there. I didn't show it, but there is a tool to gap the spark plug. And but oh, let's not forget this. The spark arrestor. Look how dirty that is. Now the spark arrestor was difficult to get out. So what I ended up having to do to get the spark arrestor out was I ended up using a small chisel, just because it was a really pointed end. A standard screwdriver wouldn't fit in there. So I basically pried it out. I tapped it in there and just pried it, and then eventually was able to pull it out. And then to put it back in, I just took a hammer and pounded it back in. That's all I needed. There we go. Moment of truth. Make sure that guy there is on. Make sure he's on. Put him to choke. Now we'll let it sit for a few minutes to allow the gas to go into the carburetor. Thanks for watching my video. If you liked the video, go ahead and give it that good old thumbs up thing and share the video with others. If you haven't already done so, go ahead and subscribe and check out my other videos. I love reading your comments, so if you haven't done so, go ahead and make your comments. My name is Jeff, And you've been watching Arizona Hot Homestead. Thanks for watching, everyone. Hopefully you hit that subscribe button and that you share the video and do the bell and all that good stuff. Hopefully you liked the video. This here was a number of videos in what I'm in a playlist that I'm calling the best of the first 5 years based on viewers. So the ones that have got the most views, those are the ones that I put in this playlist. And hope you enjoyed it. And guess I'll see you guys on the next video. See you. Bye. Have fun.